what's going to happen in this next hour. You're going to learn about what's happening in the camp, what to expect, and then, but Garth's going to start off with learning about what has to go into the portfolio. Now, before we start, show of hands, who's interested in animation? So a lot of you are in animation. Anybody here for illustration? Oh, we got some maybe illustration. Okay. And who's here for film? Like visual effects, film. Okay. All right. So there's a little bit of mixed bag. So keep that in mind then.
Sure. What else, is there anything else? Like
anything we missed?
Yeah.
The other kind of design, graphics.
Graphic design, fashion illustration.
Jana, who I don't know if she's joined you yet. Did you send an invitation?
Make
sure you invite when you're on the call. And remember to press record and start. I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, she's invited multiple times in multiple methods.
Okay. All right. Well, she joined.
She knows it's starting roughly now, I guess.
Right. You know her. So.
Well, she's gotten the link.
She misses it. It's all right. So she's interested in medical illustration.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Technical. Okay.
So Garth is a specialist in animation, but he illustrates a lot too. And has lots of illustrator friends and went to share it. So he's going to tell a lot about the animation portfolio, and I'll be talking a bit more about some of the other types of portfolios this morning. Okay, so let's get Garth started here.
All right.
Can you make that full screen so they can see it?
Full screen?
There's a way to get your images bigger.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think you can click on the artist and scroll through to.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so welcome everybody. Hopefully you'll see more of me than just this TV representation of myself. Many of you have probably seen this website. This is the, yeah.
Start your screen share?
Yeah.
And start recording?
Yeah.
So since if she is watching or she's going to watch the thing, talk to her first.
Sure. Yeah, we might have a. Oh, I think is Jana here?
And then you should be recording.
Hello, Jana. Sure.
Yeah, so I think you need your tripod.
Let's go. Jana, if you're listening, we're just starting a little introduction for the portfolio camp. Okay, I think you can hear me. We're just setting up, so I'm not really sure, and I'm getting some feedback from my own speaking, so I think you can hear me. If you can, just follow along. I'm just gonna, I'll do a screen share actually here, so that you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, the infinite loop of Google Hangouts. So yeah, I'm mostly going to be talking about the animation portfolio because that's what I have the most experience with, but it also is one of the most technical arts portfolios that you'll probably ever do. Illustration is a little bit more flexible. Many of you might have looked at the different portfolio requirements. This is driving me nuts. And illustrations, there's two different kinds of portfolios that you can hand in. One is a very strict, kind of like animation type portfolio where they have set guidelines as to what you need to hand in. But then there's the sort of 15 pieces of whatever, of just your artwork that you've done. So that's really nice because if you have a whole collection of your own artwork and you want to get into illustration, you can do it that way. You don't necessarily have to do exactly what they're looking for. Animation, on the other hand, is a little bit rigid in terms of what they're looking for, and it's also a very specific visual language for how they want you to draw. And so that's really why we've made this summer camp, because it's not just simple drawing from observation, even though that is a large part of it. It's very sort of calculated and careful, and you have to be aware of a lot of different things when you're making your lines. It's not just making a pretty picture, you're making a fully three-dimensional form that you believe could exist in reality. So how many of you have actually gotten a chance to look at the portfolio guidelines for animation or illustration? Okay, we're going to talk a bunch more about them throughout the course, so don't worry. But this blog is sort of a collection of some of the examples from the animation portfolio. Is that big enough? Oh yeah, it's not too bad.
Can your monitor come this way?
The whole TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's just. Oh yeah. No worries. Oh yeah. Okay, that's the. Yeah. So I hope these are somewhat clear. This is a bird that somebody did, and this is one of the. It looks simple to begin with, but there's a lot to it, and we have a whole class of this camp actually devoted to figuring out how exactly you can rotate a character in 3 dimensions and still have it convey a sense of believability. For example, you guys can see my cursor, right? Moving it around. Yeah, okay, great. So this pose, for example, you'll notice if you put a pin from the foot to the head, it's sort of a little bit off kilter. And it looks like it could sort of tip over at any moment. So we're going to talk about how to look for those kinds of things, how to fix those kinds of things, and how to convey a believable character, an appealing character that could actually be in an animated film. A lot of this course is based on character, but if you don't necessarily draw in this style, don't worry, because there's a lot of different styles of animation. Some of it's more realistic, some of it's more cartoony. It depends sort of what you're looking for or what you prefer drawing like. So this one's very cartoony. And just a little bit of background. I'll probably do a bit of more of a introduction for myself later. But when I first got out of high school, I was drawing very realistically, because most of the drawing that we did in high school I found was very focused on realism or abstract. Those were sort of the only 2 options. Cartooning was I did a little bit of it in a media arts course in high school, but that was about it. And it was for a comic, so that's a different medium. So cartooning, even if you draw more realistically, cartooning is a language like many different visual languages that you can learn. It's an acquired thing, and it takes a little while to get used to, but once you get a little bit used to it, it's great in how flexible and free it is. You can. The nice thing about cartooning and caricaturing in general is that you're not constrained by the confines of reality. So the nice thing about animation, which I hope some of you have experienced if you've seen different TV shows or movies, is that it's you can bring fantasy into it, science fiction, all kinds of different things. And some people would even argue the whole point of animation is not to just duplicate a sense of reality, but to create your own from your imagination. And so in tonight's class, actually, which is on storytelling and how we're gonna be building sort of a group story together, we're gonna talk about how it is, if you have complete freedom to create any story, what kind of story do you want to create? And hopefully we find one as a group together that we're all satisfied with to carry throughout the rest of the course. And then, of course, the people that are really interested in shading and tone and form are going to be really into the anatomical aspects of drawing, which is another big factor of getting into animation or illustration. They both require that you can really go deep into drawing and understand the forms underneath the actual forms that we see, like skeletons and anatomy, hand drawings. These are more appropriate for illustration, I would say. But I'm guessing that these were there's a couple of personal pieces that you're allowed to hand in with the animation portfolio. So this is probably from that, I would guess. But most of the animation portfolio is based on line. And by that I mean you're not really allowed to shade at all. It's all mostly line work. So that's something that might be a little bit interesting to get used to, because you still need to convey a sense of roundness and form even if within your line drawings. So that's a thing that we're going to talk about a lot. You don't really actually shade until second year. I think illustration you shade and render your drawings a lot earlier, but in animation they're very strict about your line work and line quality, because a lot of animation is actually just line. There's no tone. This is another one. This is a before and after for objects, and I think Karen's going to be teaching this course on perspective and how to observe what's in front of you, which is equally important, because again, cartooning, as much as it is from your imagination, it is looking at what is in reality and then adding your imagination into that. It's not strictly from imagination, although a lot of animation actually is too. But storyboarding, next week we'll be getting into storyboarding a little bit more, which is something that as drawers you might not be the most used to, because it's just not the most practical thing on your own. It's more of something that you would do if you were making a whole project, a comic, a film, some kind of sequential narrative. And so the challenge of the portfolio, for those that haven't seen it, is that you have to tell a very simple story in just 4 panels. And you'll see this theme repeated a lot throughout this class and animation in general, that you're trying to do one of the sort of philosophical underpinnings of animation is that you're trying to show a lot with very few. So sort of just keep that in your mind throughout the whole course. You want to show a lot of information with very few strokes. Even in life drawing, you want to show a whole hand gesture just with a couple lines. Even if you can do that, it's very successful drawing. So you really want to get used to how to draw with very few. And so this storyboard is an extension of that, where you want to tell a very at least the premise of a story with just 4 panels. So it's both a challenge and a really fun thing, because it's interesting. It's actually much more difficult to simplify. And most people are fairly comfortable adding lots of detail onto things, making things much more complex, adding all these different story pieces into it. But how do you trim all that away and still maintain the core of the story you're drawing? That's a very common theme. I only have a couple minutes left of my piece, because I actually have to go pick up some things. But let's see, what else can we talk about? Sure. Great. I have my portfolio here. I have a whole bunch of stuff, but I'll do that during my presentation later today, I guess. So, okay. Great.
Okay,
so yeah.
Carry on.
My mic.
Yeah. And you won't be able to see me at all. Thank you. Okay. And I don't know where to put this. Didn't think about what I was wearing today. All right, so Garth has to go because you were teaching like life drawing or something at Hillside. What are you doing? Amazing. He's always so busy. We good?
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes it's just a little hard for TV. But
Yeah, I understand. That's okay. So now I used to teach in the illustration program at Sheridan, and Garth went to Art Fundamentals and then to the animation program. You're going to be seeing other instructors here this week. Some of them have studied. A lot of them did happen to study either at University of Guelph or Sheridan by chance. We've got a really great treat for you too. And you're going to learn about all these different teachers today. They're going to be coming here, showing you their work, and you'll hear a bit about their education path and their careers, which is really exciting. And what we're talking about right now is, well, how do you get in to be able to study at those great schools, right? And I used to review portfolios in the illustration program, and I saw a lot of really talented people that didn't know how to put a portfolio together. And sometimes, you know, I felt really bad for these students that were getting rejected, because I could see that they had ability. They just weren't ready in all the ways they needed to be, or the presentation was really poor. And there's so many applications that, you know, you have to, like, geez, I didn't get enough sleep last night, guys. I've been working so hard. Brain freeze. So there's so many applications that the instructors have to be kind of brutal. I felt so bad for everybody. So coming to this camp is really going to help you with getting all the drawing skills you need. How do you put a portfolio together well? And so that's what we wanted to talk about this morning. And that's why it's nice to look at a few of these examples here that Garth is showing here and this is a good review, portreview.blogspot.ca. So you can see the level that they're looking for in the artwork, right? So he was just looking at some figure drawing here. The hand, we're going to learn about the hand at this workshop. And we're going to learn, sorry.
object drawing. That's what I taught at Sheridan, so we're going to learn that really well. And so in the animation portfolio, there's very specific required pieces, right? And that's what these examples are from. The storyboard, the drawing of the hand, anticipating and carrying out an action. And you notice it's all line work and structure sort of showing, but not the anatomy so much, but you have to be aware of anatomy. And then the figure drawings are really quite simple, really, aren't they? They're well structured, but they're not fully rendered, right? Now, I escape from this to go to the next person. There we go. Sorry that I'm so short, I can't peek over top of the monitor. Here's another person's. So here you see the character head rotation and expression. So you're going to be learning about how to draw, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, it's just the monitor sometimes, like right where you are. There we go.
So you're going to learn how to draw faces with David Caesar, an amazing artist who studied both animation and illustration at Sheridan. He's a local artist, so he's going to teach you about portrait. And that comes into the character rotation, right? Because everything starts from understanding the human face and head, and then we're going to distort it and make interesting characters. So we've got a wonderful program for you this week because you're going to learn everything sort of fits together, right? So that you're going to be learning about character development, story development with Garth, and everything you're learning with Garth and character design in the evening, if you're one of the animation students and you're taking that. All the stuff we're learning during the day relates to this story that you're going to develop over 2 weeks, all right? And so that he'll start with character profiling, and then you're going to come up with characters, and you're going to learn about character geometry. And then we'll be learning from then David Caesar about the proportion and geometry of the head and how to draw that. And then you'll be learning about character expression and facial expression from me. And then in the evenings, you're then developing those characters and their geometries, their body stance, their face. And as you see on this one, right, we've got to look at that same character, different rotations and different expressions. This will let it look like the same character. So this is a required piece in your portfolio. So everything we teach at the camp is geared towards what are the skills, both thinking and drawing skill, you need to be able to make the required portfolio pieces, okay? So that's one of them. The next thing that you'd be learning about, and a lot of the things you learn, even if you're here for another reason, not necessarily the animation, you're going to learn a lot of great drawing skills that you can use as an illustrator, that you can use in storyboarding if you're interested in live film, right? So this is one of the required pieces that you have to take an original character. So what I was showing you here, these are required pieces, but this would be your character. So we're going to help you design your own original characters. That's really important. You do not put other people's characters. It's good to copy and learn from them, but don't put that in your portfolio. So we're going to help you with the stance, the structure, and how to rotate that character well, and have it all work. So Garth's going to teach you about that. So while he's teaching you this to develop your own character, that's part of this story, this group story you guys are going to create together in these next few weeks. And you'll be drawing that up, but we'll also be learning from vision how do we draw things from various points of view, so that if you're here just to learn how to draw better, or you want to be an illustrator, you're going to really have a great drawing foundation to be able to take back with you to keep practicing. You will not get the skills, and your portfolio won't be ready by the end of the 2 weeks. This is just to teach you the kind of thinking and the drawing skills that you need to make those required portfolio pieces, right? So the character rotation we'll be learning about in more than one way.
And you're each are going to develop one of the characters from the story you make together. We're going to get a good introduction to figure drawing and how to draw animals. And we've got an exciting teacher. We are so lucky. We actually got Werner Zimmerman of Seneca Animation, and he teaches life drawing, also has taught life drawing at Humber. He's going to be coming to teach us how to draw animals. And he's going to, hello. You can come in and work. It's okay. Oh, hi, hi. Oh, no, I okay. I wasn't going to work, I just came to pick up something. Oh, hi. Is it what you need? You can see it's a classroom, and then we have all these little studio spots back here too. So there may be artists coming and going. So what was he saying? Oh, Werner Zimmerman. He is a master at teaching figure. So we get to have him teaching you about the anatomy of the hand. That's one of the required pieces. And I'll be teaching you some of the basics about the hand and the storytelling of that piece. Because when you're making a portfolio, no matter what the discipline is, the skills have to be there, but it's the ideas that really get you accepted. You want to really be creative. And telling stories in every portfolio piece where you're showing your skill, you're telling a story or making some kind of compelling image, right? So that's common to almost every visual art there is. So it's going to be great to be able to have learning about how do we come up with a really good story for that hand, and then we've got a master to teach you guys a little bit about the hand. Obviously, it's only 3 hours, so you can't learn it all, but it's really great to be in really good hands like that. And he wants to bring in a dog, a wonderful dog. Is everybody's afraid of dogs? I have to find out, because if everybody's okay with dogs, he wants to bring in a dog that he thought would be a wonderful example for you guys. So that'll be exciting. And the interesting thing is, the 2 areas that I keep hearing that students are getting low grades on their portfolio applications is the figure drawing and the animals. They're pretty good on everything else. And so that's why we're trying to bring in better and better education around that, okay? So that's why we're so lucky that we got Werner to come. So these figure drawings you can see are a little more illustrational. And then we also have the required room drawing, okay? And, you know, and that's an interesting pose too. It's a little more evocative, isn't it? Oh, this is kind of neat. Well, that's really small, isn't it? Huh. So point of view room drawing is one of the required pieces. Really tiny. But what I like about that one is that you have to do these 2 different points of view in the room. So that's one of my specialties, is teaching how to draw perspectives. So one of the things that we're going to be doing in the camp is you're going to take this story and develop those characters, and then you're going to learn how to rotate them and express them, and then they're going to be in a scene. You can make a storyboard. And then you're going to pick one of those scenes, learn a bit about composition and layout. Then you're going to be able to learn how do I draw a perspective and make those objects in that scene. Then you're going to learn from a painter some basics about color and painting and light design. And then we're going to end up taking that scene, and it's going to get digitally painted with a concept artist that's coming to teach you about how to do that. So I know that some of you can't necessarily take all of that, but it all kind of fits together really nicely. So you get all the skills that you're going to need. And the skills of how to make a great scene are equally good whether you're a fine art painter, you know, you're going to be a live film director, any of those things, and especially in animation, you have to know how to make people look where you want them to look, and that they get the point of that scene. And so between myself and Anthony, we're really going to help you have a really strong understanding of that. And Garth really understands it too, because it's always in his work. Here's some of his work on the wall right there.
And yeah, he said the one piece there with the little boy in the streets is not actually finished, but it sure looks good to me. But anyway, we'll be able to see more of his work today in the afternoon. So the area that I find some students draw really well, they can do hands and faces, they're great at that, and then the structured things like perspective and objects and things like that seems to be hard for some people, so that we're going to give you some good understanding and perspective while you're here. So basically, when you make a portfolio, you have to have all the different skills shown and all the really great ideas, right? So, and there's great resources like this particular website, and there's probably lots of other ones you can find. We're going to send you home with some references and resource materials too. That Garth has compiled quite a big list that will help you understand what's needed. Okay, so I'm going to stop this thing. I don't know if Jana's still, because these are just so small we can't see them, right? So, and we're going to help you develop, you know, all the skills you're going to need to do, you know, all these drawings that you're seeing, right? Oh, this one's nice. Let's look at this guy. Like, that's a really nice example, isn't it? Like, it's got attitude, it's well structured, lines are clear. Like, look at the movement. Really, Sheridan loves structure. Do you see all those little ellipses inside? Can you see that? So that's some of the stuff we're going to help you learn. And look, excellent, excellent expression, right? But it's tricky. How do you make sure that that he still looks like the exact same creature? And we're going to help you with the hands, and we'll help you have it be where it's interesting and unique, right? So the storyboard that you have to do is you can't do yet. So we're going to teach you some of the skills for that. We're going to help you develop all the required pieces that you can do in advance. There's a few that you can't do until you apply and you find out what the characters are going to be that year, okay? So that Sheridan sort of cycles through characters. And you might be able to find out what some of them are and maybe practice them, but it could be different every year. So you're going to be given a set of characters, and then you have to put them in a storyboard where they're interacting with an object, and then you have to, you know, draw those out. So that you kind of have to wait to get to. And it's done one like this, and then I think there's one where you have to draw it a little bit bigger. And so that you'll be learning about all these things, like the point of view room drawing, you can do the hand, anticipating action, the object drawing before and after something happened, making the storyline really interesting, right? As well as really well structured. You have to have the life drawing, the animals. So a lot of that stuff you can do in advance. It's just the storyboard and the layout that you can't do till you actually apply, okay? And it's kind of neat. The room, point of view room drawing, you're going to draw a room from, say, maybe your point of view, where you're sitting, and then the point of view of where you're looking. And then it's nice to create a little interesting story. Like that one that was so small, you see that the boy was looking under the bed, and then from the other point of view, under the bed, the creature was, you know, wrapping his claw up, I don't know, gremlin or something. What was that? So those are the kinds of things that you want to put in your portfolio. Now we're going to look at some other more generalized portfolio things. Okay, so I'm going to just close off of his screen. And we're going to stop. Where are we here? I don't know where his Google Hangout went. Here we are.